Arsenal 2, Brighton 0, and it was an absolute demolition today. The scoreline flatters Brighton in every single which way. It's the best Arsenal performance in the Premier League this season, in my opinion. The only area of constructive criticism I think you can give is around converting some more of these chances. But it was great last-ditch defending, some brilliant saves from the Brighton goalkeeper still. But overall, it was a consummate, top-class, Mikel Arteta master class of a display. Gabriel Jesus grabbing the all-important opening goal early in that second half. I think it really relieved some pressure around the Emirates Stadium. And just then, towards the end of the game, as Brighton really started to put the pressure on top, as Brighton started to, for the first time in the game, overcommit, because they couldn't break Arsenal down prior to that. And the one chance they did have would have been given as offside. It was a header around about the 60th, 70th minute, which would have been given as an offside had it gone in anyway. They started to open up a little bit, and then a wonderful through ball, and there he was. A wonderful through ball from Eddie Nketiah, and there he is again with another winning goal, another big goal, another important goal for Arsenal, for the much maligned Kai Havertz. And I'm not saying he is the greatest football player Arsenal are ever going to sign. I'm not saying he's the greatest German in the world, but at £60 million, I think what you saw from him, I thought we had an overall good game, but coming up with those clutch, coming up with those big, coming up with those massively important goals, is key. And there's a lot of question marks over whether the Kai Havertz signing would work. Well, Arsenal sit top of the English Premier League, as you can see, on 39 points, only 15 goals conceded, 35 goals scored. Only a handful of teams have one or two more goals than them. But across the board here, one of the highest goal-scoring teams, one of the best defenses, top of the league, top of their Champions League group. And it is starting to come together nicely for Mikel Arteta and his men. In terms of the performance today, look, I understand. I think Arsenal fans will definitely criticize the lack of clinical edge, because there was a lack of clinical edge for large parts of this game. And the likes of Saka and Martinelli, my view is this. Two things I want to say about this. I think it's getting into their head a little bit that they maybe haven't scored as many goals as the play would suggest they should have done. They're not converting the chances. And I think as young players, it's in their head. I believe they're overthinking, they're overplaying, they're making... It's not even poor decisions, because I don't think they're consciously doing it. They're delaying, they're hesitating, they're maybe throwing one or two extra feints into their play, which they don't need to. And that's essentially leading to them taking their shots or playing that final ball a split second too late, which enables the defenders to set. They've got to learn to relax a little bit more. And when they do that, they'll create the opportunities. Equally, we know they need a goal scorer. There's a great bit of skill from Martinelli on the left-hand side about 60, 65 minutes into this game. He dinks once, dinks left, and then goes on the outside and crosses the ball. But nobody committed and gambled to be basically on the line to put a tap in. And that's the kind of player that they need to go and invest in. I think when it comes to Saka, I want to see a bit more relaxation. However, he's also got to get his head up more. He's cutting in on his left and shooting a little bit too regularly, and it's becoming easy for defenders to know, well, I'm just going to stick my body on the line. There was twice in the first half where if he dummies the shot and lays it off to his left, I want to say the first time round, it may have been Declan Rice on the edge of the area. It was definitely Gabriel Jesus the second time, just inside the 18-yard box near the edge of it, to have shots. It would have been an open goal, but a really good opportunity to score. So there's definitely some areas for improvement. There absolutely is. However, the overarching performance, the football, the passing, the way they cut through and pressed Brighton was absolutely phenomenal. Phenomenal. Martin Odegaard today. People say he doesn't turn up for big games. And you know what's really interesting? Me and Lee Gunner had a conversation recently, and he mentioned big games are not just when you play the top six teams. Big games are important matches that could be pivotal in your season. He spoke about playing Sheffield United and how beating them away from home could be really important. Therefore, it's a big game. I look at today like that. 2 games without winning in the Champions League and Premier League. You have to bounce back. You've got Liverpool playing soon, playing Man United in 30 minutes time, in a game that most people expect Liverpool to win. So if you don't win, if you drop points, by the way, against a team that has a very good record against you, if you drop points, then you could be in trouble. That makes today a big game by the definition. And I look at the likes of Ligue 1 and people who have very, very high standards, and I understand them completely for Arsenal. And they set these high standards. So based on their high standards, it was a big game today. And Odegaard was immense. The standout pass from him a moment was an outside of the foot, left-footed, outside the foot pass to play in Saka, who, in my opinion, should have done. He did very well, sorry. The chance came to Martinelli, who I don't know if he went for a chip or power, almost like he got caught in between the two things and it went over the bar. But Odegaard was absolutely brilliant. Gabriel Jesus, I thought, had another outstanding display, gets another goal. The skill, by the way, the standout, but the skill against Lewis Dunk. Jesus Christ, out of this world. He was excellent today. He really was. Kai Havertz, I've mentioned, very good performance, 7 out of 10 performance, but another important clutch goal. But I have to talk about another £100 million Declan Rice. We have seen so many expensive players, both domestically in the Premier League and across Europe, from your Coutinhos to your Harry Maguires, your Antonys, so many Ousmane Dembele's, Jack Grealish's, go for this obscene amount of money and never really live up to the hype, never really deliver consistently against that price tag. Declan Rice, every single game is immense. And you are, by the way, talking about Brighton. Now, they've not been on a good winning streak recently, but very rarely do teams do to them what Arsenal did today, led by the leadership, triggering the press, controlling and orchestrating the team in the shape of Declan Rice, plus his own individual performance within that role. Rice is a phenom. For me so far this season, he is player of the season for the entire Premier League, and there's some great candidates for that. I spoke about Bukayo for Tottenham yesterday. Of all the Spurs players, he's a standout there for me. Maddison could be in that conversation, but he's missed a fair few weeks now due to injury. And there's other players that you all might suggest in the comments section that could be in that mix. But I think with the pressure of being a £100 million player, going to Arsenal, a team that most rivals, most pundits, most journalists said missed their opportunity last year and would fade away this campaign, I think Declan Rice has been nothing short of sensational. Absolutely sensational this season. And today, do you know what? It's getting to a point where you're becoming so used to it, it's becoming such normality that in time, people won't even look at today as a good performance. It will just be Declan Rice. And I've witnessed that only a handful of times before in the Premier League. Witnessed it with N'Golo Kante. Kante would do this on a very regular basis where a great performance became normality for him. I saw this all the time with Paul Scholes. He often isn't lauded enough, as he should be, because he was so consistently good. He didn't have a dip, and then good for a few months, dip. And then when he was really good, it stood out. He was just consistently brilliant. Now, Declan Rice and Paul Scholes are very different types of players, but the premise of what I'm saying is absolutely right. The man's consistency and quality within it is nothing short of spectacular. It really, really is spectacular from him. And I think Arsenal, look, I've said it all year, I think are better than last season. And I don't mean from an entertainment point of view. I mean in terms of the ability to potentially go on and win this Premier League title. And with Manchester City still not looking themselves, throwing away 2-0 leads at home to the likes of Crystal Palace, bad run of games recently. You now look at that league table, and we'll look at it on our screen right now. Arsenal top and clear by 5 points. Remember, in the next round of Premier League games, Man City will not be here. Manchester City will be at the World Club Championships. So Arsenal, this is where it becomes really interesting. Arsenal play Liverpool in that week. So Arsenal will at least be 5 points ahead, meaning if City win their game in hand, it's still going to be a lead. But if Liverpool may not win today, they probably will. If Arsenal or Liverpool win, the advantage that they will have over Manchester City could be 8 points to 10 points. Yes, with a game in hand, but at the same time, 4-point gap, Aston Villa. It could be anywhere between a 5 to 10 point gap for Arsenal, 5 to 10 point gap for Liverpool. The pressure that is going to be on Manchester City for the first time under Pep to, one, have a weaker squad than he's had before. 2, a team that I think is less motivated than in prior years. And 3, and very, very importantly, having 3 teams at the very least to overtake. And who knows, Tottenham may be in front of them by them as well. Spurs could be ahead of them by that point. So suddenly you've got 3 to 4 teams to have to catch and hope they all start to drop points. And just on a probability basis. So if you're a statistician, you'll understand this. On the basis of probability, it's a lot harder than just having to catch one team. So I'm looking at this now. This is a massive win for Arsenal. The next game for them is huge against Liverpool. But for me, Arsenal and Liverpool are becoming the title favourites. Now, they have to maintain this. They can't collapse, and they do need to add in January. But when all things being equal, Arsenal and Liverpool, and I'm going to throw Villa into this mix, but because they haven't been anywhere near a title race in my living memory, early 90s, they were a very good team. But I remember it too well back then. They're just on the outside of it for me. Arsenal and Liverpool are the better teams. They're the Champions League standard teams. They are slowly becoming the title favourites. They just look a little hungrier, a little bit more determined, and a little bit. Although City have 40 goals, I want to say this, they're just right now looking that little bit more clinical. But I want to know what you think and feel. I want your comments below, please. We're bringing out the panel soon. With Brandon, we're going to have Saar, we're going to have Nathan to go through some of this. It won't be the longest stream today because I have got to go and watch my team get beat by Liverpool in 20 minutes' time. And I actually put a bet on today, West Ham to win, Aston Villa to win, and Arsenal to win. And I've won a little bit of money. And I'm so glad that bet's... Hang on, I'll check Aston Villa actually did win. Did they win? Yeah, they did. That's it. Happy birthday to me. My birthday ends at 4:30 today. I'm closing it down early. The birthday be over. So that is it. I don't actually know how I'm up, by the way. I didn't go to bed. So I've been up pretty much since yesterday. I had a couple of hours sleep. Then went out for breakfast. And then we've been around there. But